Back on the Chad Easty Show, News Talk KFYO. Joining us on the phones this morning, Republican strategist, our great friend, Matt Mackowiak, here on the Chad Easty Show. Matt, good morning. How are you today?
Doing great, Chad. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. Appreciate you joining us. Hey, I guess we'll start off with Governor Abbott. And, he's taking fire from all sides. Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, liberals. It's all over the map. How do you think the governor's handling things right now? And do you think there should be a special session called where some of these issues and some of these orders that have been directed by the governor can be debated and lawmakers can talk about this?
So I don't see a need for a special session. I really don't. I think the power that resides in the executive branch is sufficient for the situation that we're dealing with. Obviously, things can change, and I understand, other people may disagree with that. I know we've seen some legislators say they want a special session. I think the governor's gone too far. Look, he's trying to find the right balance between protecting public health and protecting the economy and people's jobs. There is no perfect approach to that, right? It's a constant balancing act as you get more information as things change. I do believe some of the reporting in the state of Texas is overstated. The hospitalization rate isn't simply COVID-19. It's people having elective procedures. It's people going to the hospital for other reasons who then get tested and are found to have had COVID-19. They didn't go to the hospital because they have COVID-19. They went there for some other reason. Yeah. Now, I don't want to minimize it. The number of cases we're seeing in our state, particularly in hotspots like Austin and Houston and San Antonio, is concerning. But what appears to be the case is that a milder strain of the virus is now out there, that the survivability is the highest it's ever been, and that if you're not over 65 or if you don't have underlying health conditions, the odds that you die from coronavirus are extremely low, far lower than they are from dying from the flu. Those are just the facts of where we are. We've also massively increased our testing. So, look, the governor is trying to use this mask order to try to get ahead of this over the next 10 to 14 days. I know some people don't like that. He exempted counties that have fewer than 20 cases. But look, I think the other options that he has are far worse. If he wants to go back and let counties and cities decide what they want to do, our city council in Austin, where I live, is meeting this week to consider a 35-day economic shutdown. I assure you there is no reason for that.
How can they do that, though? Because didn't the governor's order supersede any other local orders unless the governor grants them a special power or an exemption to that? I don't see how a city or municipality can do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's my take as well. It's possible they're expecting the governor to allow them. Maybe in the urban counties where you've had some of these outbreaks, it's possible they're expecting him to change that. It's possible they're going to do it either way and maybe fight it out in the courts. I'm not really sure. Maybe they're just getting prepared for a worst-case scenario. I don't know. Our city council in Austin is pretty crazy, so applying logic to their actions is sometimes a fool's errand. But look, the options the governor has is he can either let cities and counties do what they want, which would obviously be far more stringent in the urban areas, or he could go back to partially or completely shutting down the Texas economy. And so I don't think he's considering those options right now. But I do think in 10 days to 2 weeks, if it continues on the trajectory it's on now, he's going to have to consider stronger actions. So This is a difficult situation. There is no perfect option, and he is the only person who can make these decisions and who has the statewide responsibility that he has.
When it comes to the state Republican convention, this is something that's been a controversial issue about whether it should be meeting in person or in online meeting. It sounds like the lieutenant governor of the state thinks it's a really bad idea for everybody to meet in person. What do you think about this?
There are concerns, right? Because what you have is you have people traveling from all over the state, coming to one place, and then traveling back, right? So they could be bringing it with them, and they could be taking it with them. And so that could lead to significant spread. I would feel better if they tested people when they arrived, if they could test everyone and maybe test them as they leave. That would probably be a better system. I don't know if that capability exists. I don't believe that's what the plan is. Look, I do see this as essential business. I don't see this, it's not the same thing as a party. This is essential business as part of our democratic process. We elect delegates to the state convention, then we elect delegates to the national convention, and we conduct important business. The Democrats did conduct their convention virtually in June, so it can be done. But the State Republican Executive Committee debated this a couple of nights ago, and they concluded that really you couldn't give people a voice. I mean, you've probably been on some Zoom conference calls the last few weeks, as a lot of us have. You got one person talking mostly, and maybe other people can ask a question here or there, but that is not how our conventions work. Our conventions have a lot of give and take, and everyone has an opportunity to weigh in, whether it be on the platform, whether it be on the rules, other issues. So, yeah, look, it's risky, and the Houston mayor is encouraging the state party to cancel it, and so far the governor has not canceled it. Of course, this also gets to the question of whether contracts could be voided. And that gets into the issue of force majeure, which basically would release the state party from contracts, and that would only, I think, kick in if the governor were to cancel the convention. So it wouldn't surprise me if that option was in front of him and he's looking at it and going to be evaluating it over time. I don't really know how to forecast whether it's likely to happen. I'd say it's probably 50-50 right now. It depends on what happens over the next, few days, probably. I am a delegate. I am a caucus chair, so I do plan to be there. But I'll be pretty careful while I'm there. I'll be wearing a mask most of the time. I'll be keeping social distancing. I'll be washing my hands, and I'll be hoping for the best.
Well, and Matt, it seems like, for these conventions, there's so much planning that goes into it, right? There's so much planning, to me. If and I know this was discussed the other night, there is a backup plan that if you absolutely have to, then we'll go online and do this. But the planning that goes into it, wouldn't that just throw everything into maybe not turmoil, but I mean, it would be hard to do a convention that way now.
Yeah, extremely difficult to do it virtually. Number one, you have, 36, I'm getting the number wrong. I forget the number of Senate districts off the top of my head. 29, I think, is Senate districts. So you've got 29 different caucuses that have to occur. You have all these different committees that are meeting. You have 10,000 delegates. Can you get 10,000 people, on a Zoom call? I don't know. And how do you protect security? And how do you ensure they're allowed to vote? And how do you ensure they're allowed to ask questions and weigh in? I mean, the technical challenges to this are immense. And the idea that they could literally put that together, from a standing stop in 7 days ahead of it's earlier next. Committees start meeting as early as, I think, Monday or Tuesday of next week, with the business starting on Thursday. So, yeah, it's an immense logistical challenge. I do not envy the situation of the job that the state party has right now. But I am impressed by the job our state chair, James Stickey, has done. He's been a steady leader. He's raised considerable record-breaking funding for the party. He's put us in a great position for the fall. And he's working through this crisis, and it's just uncertainty as best he can.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, tell folks about your morning newsletter and also your latest podcast.
Yeah, so the newsletter is called Must Read Texas. We take all the top news from around the state, put it in one clean, easy-to-read email, and deliver it to inboxes every weekday morning by 9 a.m. We have well over 6,000 subscribers now who are signed up and receive it every day by email. You can sign up for a free 1-week trial at mustreadtexas.com. My podcast is called Mac on Politics. It's available in the iTunes Store, on Google Play, on Stitcher, and on Spotify. Most recent episode is with Tim Alberta, chief political correspondent from Politico magazine. We talk about 2020 and polling and all kinds of issues. It's a fascinating conversation, very much worth checking out.
Very nice. Matt, as always, appreciate your time. We'll visit with you next week.
Take care.
That's Matt Mackowiak, Republican strategist here on the Chad Hasty Show.